Two retired couples live on the same cul-de-sac in suburban Tampa. Both are 68. Both worked 40 years. Both retired last spring with almost identical nest eggs. From the driveway, you cannot tell them apart. Couple A pulls in driving a lease 2025 Lincoln Navigator. Behind it sits a 32-foot Class A motorhome. They've used 3 weekends all year. The mailbox just delivered an $1,800 country club statement. Yesterday, their daughter's monthly $1,200 went out on Venmo. Couple B drives a 2014 Toyota Highlander with 92,000 miles. There's no boat. The grocery haul is Costco. The watch on his wrist is a Seiko he bought in 1997. 20 years from now, one of these couples will run out of money in their early 80s. The other will leave their grandkids a small fortune. From the outside right now, you genuinely cannot tell which is which, but the math can. If you've ever looked at someone who seems wealthy and quietly wondered how they actually got there, or worse, looked at your own retirement projection and wondered if you're going to make it, this video is going to make a lot of things click into place. My name is Kalu, and I spend way too much time thinking about why the people who look richest are usually the ones running out of money first. If you're someone trying to build wealth that actually lasts into retirement instead of evaporating in your 70s, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if it helps you out. And if you're nowhere near retirement watching this, stay with me, because the habits these people built at 35 are the entire reason one of them is going to die rich. Here are the 10 things wealthy retirees stopped buying to stay wealthy. And the first one is the most expensive habit hiding in plain sight. Number 1. A new car every 3 years. The average new car loses about 20% of its value in year 1 and roughly 60% by year 5. On a $50,000 SUV, that's $30,000 in depreciation gone, whether you drive it or just stare at it lovingly in the driveway. Wealthy retirees know this number cold. The middle class doesn't, which is exactly why the middle class keeps trading in. Here's the part that stings. Thomas Stanley, the guy who wrote The Millionaire Next Door, found that more millionaires drive Toyotas than BMWs. About 37% of millionaires he surveyed bought their car used. Only 23% drove a current model year. Stanley's killer stat: the typical American spends roughly 30% of their net worth on a vehicle. Millionaires spend about 1%. Now compare that to your typical income affluent retiree, the dentist on his 4th lease BMW since 2019. Every 3 years, he rolls his old loan into a new one. The payment stays around $850 a month. The lease never ends. And somewhere in there, he convinced himself he was getting a deal. He is not getting a deal. He is renting status at $850 a month from a man in a polo shirt. If you swap a 3-year trade-in cycle for a 10-year hold starting at age 50, the avoided depreciation plus the opportunity cost of investing the savings adds up to roughly $400,000 by age 80. That's not a car. That's a second retirement. Number 2. Boats, RVs, and the trophy vehicles of regrets. Speaking of expensive things that mostly sit still, let's talk about boats. You know the line: the 2 best days of owning a boat are the day you buy it and the day you sell it. It's a cliché because every retiree who's ever owned one nods grimly when they hear it. New RVs lose 20 to 30% of their value in year 1. Class A motorhomes lose more than half their value by year 10. Boats follow the same curve, except you also pay for storage, insurance, fuel, and slip fees, which run $3,000 to $8,000 a year on a modest boat. The only things on earth that depreciate faster are meme stocks and gas station sushi. Here's the Stanley smoking gun, and this one is wild. In Stop Acting Rich, he found there were nearly 5 times as many boat owners in America as there were people who left an estate of $1 million or more. In plain English, most boats in this country are owned by people who cannot actually afford them. The real millionaires aren't out there clogging the lake on a Saturday afternoon. They're on their porch watching the people who can't afford boats drive boats. Let me run a specific number on you. Retired couple drops $150,000 on a Class A motorhome at age 65. Over 10 years, they pay $25,000 in fuel, $10,000 in maintenance, $12,000 in storage, and absorb a $60,000 depreciation hit. They use the thing 11 weeks total. The all-in cost per week of vacation, $9,700. For $9,700 a week, you could be staying at a private villa in Tuscany while someone named Lorenzo brings you breakfast. Instead, you're parked at a KOA emptying a black water tank in the rain. That is the trade you made. The wealthy didn't make that trade. They rented the RV for the one trip they wanted to take. That's the whole difference. Number 3. Timeshares, or how to become a real estate owner for $1. If you thought boats were brutal, wait until you see what timeshares look like on the resale market. Open eBay right now. Search timeshare. There are listings for $1, not 1,000. 1. As in the current owner will sell you their real estate for less than a vending machine soda just to stop paying maintenance fees. Some of them will literally pay you to take it off their hands. That's not a metaphor. That's an actual real estate transaction happening somewhere in America right now. Timeshares bought from the developer for $20,000 to $40,000 routinely resell for under $100. Even Disney Vacation Club units, the best resale performers in the entire industry, top out at about 15% of the original developer price. And every year, the maintenance fees keep coming. $900 to $3,000 annually, rising forever even after you die. Your kids inherit it. Here's the math wealthy retirees do before they sign. $15,000 upfront plus $900 a year in fees for 15 years equals $28,500. That works out to $271 per night for a hotel room you can only use at one location. The Marriott down the street is $199 with free breakfast and nobody trying to corner you at a sales seminar. The timeshare industry is by total dollar volume one of the largest real estate investments Americans make every year, which means it's also one of the largest categorical wealth transfers in the entire country. From you to a salesperson on a sales floor with free Maites and a clock counting down to the limited time offer that mysteriously is offered every single day of the year. Number 4. Whole life insurance and the annuity that ate your retirement. Now I have to slow down because this next one is darker, and I want you to hear me clearly. A healthy 30-year-old can buy a $500,000 term life policy for about $20 a month. The whole life version of that exact same policy from the exact same insurer runs $400 to $500 a month. That's a 20 times markup. Where does the extra $480 a month go? Mostly to commission. The agent gets the equivalent of an entire year's premium for selling you that one policy. That's not investment advice. That's a sales job dressed in a financial planner's vest. If you took that monthly difference and put it in an S&P 500 index fund instead, over 30 years, it compounds to between $560,000 and $700,000. Your whole life policy in the same window builds maybe $50,000 to $80,000 in cash value, which, fun detail, you have to borrow against and pay interest on to access. It's your money. They charge you to use it. Now let's talk about the worst cousin, the variable annuity. The product retirees get sold most often, usually by someone with a really nice golf membership. This isn't a misunderstanding. This isn't a few bad apples. This is a $250 billion industry built on the assumption that retirees won't run the math. Most of them don't. That's the entire business model. Kiplinger documents that variable annuities run 2 to 4% in all-in fees every year. The financial planner John Stevenson published a case study of one Pennsylvania client paying nearly 4% annually on a $1.7 million variable annuity. The product generated $88,000 a year in guaranteed income. A comparable product with a 1% fee structure would have generated $177,000. That client lost $89,000 a year in retirement income to fees for 20 years. That's a paid-off house. That's a college fund. That's a grandchild's down payment vaporized into commissions by someone who shook her hand and called her dear. The wealthy retiree's rule is simple. If the person selling it is on commission, the product isn't built for you, it's built for them. Number 5. The second home you swear you'll use. Speaking of products built to make somebody else rich, let's talk about the fantasy purchase that takes down more retirees than almost any other. The vacation home. The pitch sounds beautiful. We'll use it 10 weekends a year. The grandkids will love it, and we can rent it out when we're not there. Every word in that sentence is a lie you're telling yourself. Here's what actually happens. You buy a $400,000 lake house at 65. Property taxes, insurance, HOA, and lawn service run $16,000 a year before you spend a night there. Furnishings on day 1, $25,000. A new roof in year 7, $18,000. The HVAC dies in year 9, $9,000. You use it 3 weekends in year 1 because furnishing it took the entire summer. 2 weekends in year 2. By year 5, your kids are busy, your knees hurt, and the drive feels longer every time. Stanley's data on this is clear. The income affluent buy second homes. Real millionaires rent for the 1 month a year they want to be there. Same view, same lake, none of the maintenance, taxes, headaches, or sunk capital. A $400,000 lake house at 7% return for 20 years is $1.5 million you could have left to your grandchildren. Instead, you left them a dock that needs replacing. Number 6. The Country Club. Here's where I have to tell you the uncomfortable truth this entire video has been building toward. The wealthy retirees who stay wealthy aren't doing this because they're frugal. They're not doing it because they're cheap. They're doing it because somewhere around age 45, they sat down, ran the math on every recurring expense in their life, and they were horrified by what they found. Once you see those numbers, you can't unsee them. And once you can't unsee them, you stop buying things. Not because you're disciplined, because you're scared. Which brings us to the Country Club. And I'm sorry in advance, because this one is going to sting. In 2024, the National Golf Foundation reported that median country club initiation fees rose from $29,000 to $50,000 between 2019 and 2022, a 72% jump in 3 years. Annual dues at a mid-tier club run between $1,500 and $10,000. Add cart fees, locker fees, guest fees, and the quarterly food minimum. The food minimum, by the way, is a delightful invention where the club forces you to spend a certain amount on dining every quarter just to keep your membership active. So if you didn't eat there enough, you have to show up at the end of the quarter and eat $200 worth of Cobb salad you didn't want to maintain your exclusive status as an adult with your own money that you earned. Realistic all-in cost for a retired club member: $15,000 to $25,000 every year, forever. Say you play 30 rounds a year at $20,000 in dues. That's $667 per round. The same course charges $50 to guest players. You are paying 13 times the per-round cost for slightly better tee times and the right to say at the club, at parties. That's not a hobby. That's a subscription to feeling important. Number 7. The monthly Venmo to your adult kids. We have to talk about this one because it's the trap nobody admits to. According to a 2025 Savings.com study covered by CNBC, half of all American parents with adult children are providing regular financial support. The average is $1,174 a month. That's $17,068 a year. The same study found that 46% of those parents are funding their adult children's vacations. You worked 40 years. You retired with $1.4 million, and then you started transferring $17,000 a year to a 28-year-old who's currently posting from Barcelona. I want you to feel this one for a second. You skipped vacations. You drove the same car for 12 years. You said no to the kitchen remodel. You ate at home. You worked through migraines. You missed your son's third-grade play because of a deadline. You did all of that. And now, in the years that were supposed to be yours, you are transferring $1,474 a month to someone who has never paid a utility bill on time. I'm not telling you to abandon your kids, but the math is the math. $1,474 a month for 10 years of retirement is $176,000. At a 4% safe withdrawal rate, sustaining that indefinitely requires an extra $4.4 million in your nest egg. You don't have that cushion. Almost nobody does. Which means every month you are quietly setting your own retirement on fire to fund a lifestyle your kid would otherwise have had to actually earn. The wealthy retirees' rule on this is clear: episodic, not routine. A wedding gift, a down payment, an emergency medical bill, those are fine. That's what generational wealth looks like. But the standing monthly transfer, that's not love. That's a hostage situation where you're paying your own ransom. Number 8. The status watch and everything it represents. After something that heavy, let's pivot to something a little more absurd. Stanley's original 1996 study found that 50% of American millionaires had never paid more than $235 for their most expensive watch. Half had never paid more than $30.99 for their most expensive suit. Half had never paid more than $140 for a pair of shoes. Only 1% had ever paid $15,000 or more for a watch. In the 2009 follow-up, Stop Acting Rich, Seiko was the #1 watch brand among American millionaires at 19.5% market share. Rolex was second at 15.4%. Stanley noted that millionaires who actually wore Rolex usually received them as gifts and were generally embarrassed to wear them, embarrassed to wear the Rolex. The guy paying $20,000 for a watch and $4,000 for a suit isn't the millionaire, he's the guy trying to look like one. Stanley had a whole term for this demographic: the pseudo-affluent. Income rich, asset poor, confused about which one is which. Wealthy retirees understand something the pseudo-affluent never figure out. The audience you used to dress for, clients, colleagues, networking events, the boss, is gone, retired, done, vanished. The only person looking at your watch now is the cashier at the pharmacy, and she does not care. Number 9. Death by 1,000 subscriptions. This one snuck up on every generation at once, and it's quietly eating retirements alive. A 2021 study by the consulting firm West Monroe found that the average American spends $273 a month on subscriptions. The average American thinks they spend $62. A $20–11 a month gap between what people actually spend and what they believe they spend. People are off by over $2,500 a year on something they technically chose on their own accounts with their own credit cards. The streaming service you forgot you subscribed to is right now charging you $14.99 a month to host a show you watched in 2022. Then there's the convenience app tax, which is its own special hell. DoorDash typically marks up menu items 10 to 20% above in-store, then adds a service fee, then a delivery fee, then asks you to tip a person who is technically not their employee. A $15 restaurant meal turns into $30 to $35 delivered. A Finance Buzz analysis found Postmates marks up food 92% all in. 92%. You are paying nearly double for the same food because someone else's Honda Civic carried it 1.4 miles. The wealthy retiree's move is depressingly simple. In year 1 of retirement, they do a 1-hour subscription audit. They cancel the streaming they don't watch, the gym they don't visit, the magazine they don't read, the Apple One Premiere they didn't realize was a bundle. They keep maybe 4. Done. Cancel $200 a month in subscription creep, skip the delivery apps, and you free up $4,000 a year. Invested at 7% over 20 years, That's $175,000. 1 hour, $175,000. Number 10. The first 5 years of retirement. I want to end on the most important one, because if you remember nothing else from this video, make it this. There's a researcher named David Blanchett who published a study in the Journal of Financial Planning called Exploring the Retirement Consumption Puzzle. What he found is now known as the retirement spending smile. Retiree spending actually declines through your 60s and 70s, hits a trough around age 84, and only ticks back up at the very end of life for healthcare. The average retiree spends about 20% less in retirement than they think they will. Financial planners call them go-go, slow-go, and no-go years. The go-go years are the first decade, your healthiest, most active, most excited, and critically most vulnerable to making a giant financial mistake. Because the first 5 years of retirement is what's called the retirement risk zone. The danger window, where one bad market year, combined with overspending, can permanently shrink your portfolio. It's called sequence of returns risk, and it works like this. 2 retirees, same $1 million, same average return over 30 years. The one who happens to get bad market years at the beginning of retirement runs out of money. The one who gets the bad years at the end dies with millions in the bank. Same return, different order, wildly different outcomes. This is why wealthy retirees defer the trophy purchases, the bucket list cruises, the lake house, the new Mercedes, the boat. They don't pull the trigger on those in year 1. They wait 3 to 5 years. They let the risk zone pass. They make sure the math is still working before they spend the windfall. Everyone else retires on a Friday and puts $80,000 on a Mercedes by Monday. They spend years 1 through 5 on the boat, the RV, the kitchen remodel, the European tour, and they quietly cross their fingers that the market behaves. The market does not care about your fingers. So here we are. You don't need to skip all 10 of these. You probably can't, and honestly, you shouldn't try. Retirement is supposed to be enjoyable. The point isn't to spend nothing. The point is to stop hemorrhaging in the categories that don't actually improve your life. Cut 3. That's it. Drop the new car cycle. Walk away from the country club. Cancel the monthly Venmo. That's $47,000 a year you've stopped lighting on fire. Over 20 years of retirement, you've preserved over $2 million in compounded wealth. That's the entire gap between couple A and couple B on the cul-de-sac. Same income, same starting nest egg, same lifestyle on the surface, but couple B is going to die rich, and couple A is going to spend the last 5 years of their life quietly running the numbers, wondering if they should sell the lake house, wondering if they can ask their daughter to stop accepting the Venmos, wondering how the math got away from them when they were so sure it wouldn't. The wealthy retirees who stay wealthy don't have a secret. They have a list of things they refuse to buy. Most people watching this video will agree with everything in it and then change nothing. They'll buy the boat anyway. The math doesn't care.